Herzlich willkommen zum 36. DOK.fest München. A very warm welcome to the 36th International DOK.fest Munich. This year as our online edition DOK.fest at Home 2021 from the Silbersaal in the Deutsches Theater, one of our usual locations that we love. My name is Daniel Lang and I'm going to host this Q&A for the film Life of Ivana by the director Renato Borrayo Serrano, and he's with us today. This film is being shown in our section Best of Fests. Renato, a very warm welcome. Hello.
Hello. I'm very happy to be with you and happy that the film is going to meet the München DOK.fest München audiences. I really look forward for some feedbacks.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for being with us. I really enjoyed your film. I was blown away by it when I watched it. You have a very strong protagonist. How on earth did you find her? Because she lives in the middle of nowhere, in the tundra, in the icy cold, in a tiny little hut, which is maybe 5 or 6 square meters big. How did you find her?
Well, I first came to the Taimyr Peninsula, which is a peninsula in the far north of Siberia, northeast of Siberia, and there's a city close to the tundra where Ivana lives, and that's the city where my wife was born and grew up. So I came there because of her. I went there first for a month, just to be in the place and look, and then I decided to make a film there and started looking for a character. I started to shooting another person, but then I met Ivana. I understood that her strength and her presence is ideal to take a chance to tell a story about resistance, about desire of change, and about what makes us humans and this struggle with life itself.
It's basically, I think, a story that can be told the world over with like indigenous people that are torn between like 2 worlds, their traditional life and the modern world. But what really interested me here was your approach. Like, did you, when you first met her, did you suddenly decide, okay, I'm going to film her? Or did you just get to know her before, or was the camera there from the beginning?
Well, I was already shooting a film when I met her, and I already knew about Ivana from some people that knew her. I was asking for people that was going to move from the traditional life in the tundra to emigrate to the city, to the nearby city called Norilsk, or to the other city called Dudinka. There are 2 little cities that actually they are like an island, because there is not other way to get there other than a plane or a boat in summer only. And I was always, I heard about her a couple of times, about a woman that lives alone with children, and but it was always like people say, but maybe it's not what you're looking for, because she hardly is going to emigrate to the city. She has problems. Maybe it's not what you're looking for. And I just knew that there was this woman, and I never. And I wasn't even sure that we are going to meet, and then we met by chance, and we had this conversation where I understood that it's very complicated and difficult to emigrate to the city for her, but she has this desire to do so, and also the necessity to do it. And I wasn't really sure how long that will take or not, but I understood from her, from her presence, and because she's not a very chatty oral person, and but I was absolutely sure that this is the person that I was looking for. And when I met her, and the next day after we met, we were already going through the tundra in a snowmobile with her and my wife, heading to her community, and that's how it started. And of course, from the very beginning, I was clear and sure that I am a person that is with a camera, that I am looking, that I am, let's say, I'm assisting to the life of others, and I'm accompanying her. And this was something that that was clear from the beginning, and also it will never happened if it wasn't for the desire of Ivana of having someone accompanying and like any passionate people about something, when there is passion, and a person feels the passion you feel for it, it's very hard to say no. And Ivana wanted, I think, I'm sure, to share also her story, because also when someone is passionate about something, she always wants to other people to know and to testify somehow.
The film or at the beginning, the film is shot a lot in her hut, which is on on a big sledge. Were you alone, or did you have a small team? And how did you shoot there? What were the difficulties in that location for you?
Yeah, the thing about this film is that it could never have happened if I will get there in a helicopter with 20 people and disrupt the reality of this place. So it was mostly me and my wife, and then just me, who was there with a camera. And the main difficulty was the electricity because there was not electricity there, only a generator. But that's a technical difficulty. The most important thing about this film, I think, in the methodology I used is that it has a very transparent approach in the relationship with the camera person, the person that is accompanying the action, and the character, and this relation kind of evolves during the film, and is also very important part of the dramaturgy of the film. And of course, this can only be managed if there is a very direct relationship with the camera and the character, between the camera and the character, between the person holding the camera. So in this film, you will never see a hidden camera, for example, and always every shot is shot with a person in a handheld camera that you can, like, as a viewer, you can feel even the breath of the person holding the camera, in this case me. So.
And how long did you stay there? How long did you shoot?
Well, I'd say that the film covers a period of time about 4 years in the life of Ivana, but of course it wasn't 4 years always. Just kind of a couple or one time I went there during a year, during a period of 4 years. And yeah, I will get there. It was very complicated to get to that place and to get the permission because it's a closed region for foreigners to enter. So it was always very difficult to get a permission, and then to get to the place where Ivana was waiting for me, and it will be like a month, yeah, a month every time, living, accompanying Ivana, yeah.
There is a scene in the film where she's at her husband's place and they've all been drinking a lot and the husband becomes violent and you, as the filmmaker, stop before the door, basically, where violence is obviously taking place. For you as a filmmaker, what was the decision? Okay, I'm going to shoot this, or because you could have said, okay, no, I'm going to take the camera down. What were the thought processes of actually shooting that scene for you, and then also in the editing to leave this scene in the film?
Well, the important thing in this film, for me, is that everything that happens in it is not written from a desk in the director's office. You know, everything is happening almost like improvisation, but of course, like in improvisation, there are things you are looking for and things you expect. But the most important thing in this film was that letting the reality appear and just being able and putting my body in a perspective that leaves this reality appear in the most clear way and you can see in this film that the relationship I construct with Ivana, that she's so aware of the camera all the time, that is a part of the action. And in this moment, it's a very important and dramatical moment in Ivana's life, and it felt absolutely organic. That's the thing in documentary film, that every second you are making an aesthetical, both an ethical stance in every second. You are never safe of making a decision, and these decisions and this presence of you, which is even more obvious because the camera is handheld, is always present, and in that moment I just felt that's the place that I have to stand, you know, and it's something that is it has to do a lot with intuition and I didn't went there because you can see in the film that whatever happens, of course, is affected by my presence, but also the intensity of things that are happening is much stronger than the intensity of my influence and the whatever happens, it will happen with me or without me there. And I decided to stay there, and then in the editing, this happens because if this wouldn't be a life-changing moment in Ivana's life, of course I wouldn't put it in the film. But then there are things happening that are provoked also, this kind of let's say final acknowledgement of Ivana, of her desire to end up with this relationship. This is something that you couldn't tell without having this acknowledgement of the actions and that's what's for me is more important in documentary, is this possibility of seeing not the authorial projection of his political views, but seeing how reality encounters this character who is the camera also, you know, how reality also makes a stand in front of it.
Like the last scenes that we see in her new place where she's living, in one of the cities that you mentioned before, is obviously quite a while after. Like there is like you feel that there has been a gap, and she looks older, and the children look older. Like did you get the feeling, okay, this is the right decision for her? Like it was for her, it was the right decision to move into the city, to leave her old life behind in the tundra?
Well, this is also a thing of which the thing is that this film has this position of accompaniment, and I think the strength of this method and is that there is not moral judgment on the characters. That's why we are able to empathize, because the complexity is not you know, there is no simplification, because there is no judgment. It's a very horizontal construction. I'm never putting Ivana's action in a diagram where there is good and evil and right and wrong, and that's why I make films, because I want to embrace the complexity of reality, not simplify it. And Ivana at the end of the film is in a place finally where I think that she's more engaged with where she is. She's more responsible for the place where she is than she was in the, let's say, in the beginning of the film. So of course there is kind of the victory of her will, in a sense, but life is much more complicated than just liberation. You know, we have to cope with liberation in very different ways that are not very obvious and simple, and that's the drama of this film, is that this film is immersed in is the fact that we struggle as human beings, and but it's not only our struggle which defines the outcome, you know, and but it's very important. It's important for us, and so I cannot answer is whether right or wrong, because, you know, it's her decision, and also is imposed by the context. Life in tundra is this is the end of the traditional way of life for this family, and I have a very strong melancholy for it, and sadness, but also it's not on me to judge where this family should live, and also certainly there are not conditions for this life to continue right now. We are living in a world that is destroying, and a civilization that is consuming the possibilities also of some ways of life to continue. And this is a decision that is very humane, and it's not only about indigenous people, or, you know, is something that we can relate to. I hope.
Definitely, I think it's something that everybody can relate to. I think in your film. I was also wondering about more about the process again, because you said you shot over the course of 4 years. Did you always, after having finishing one phase of shooting, did you go into the editing room and edit, or did you collect for 4 years and then go into the editing and basically finish the film after shooting all your material, or did you do it step by step? And for example, if you did it that way, did it inform your way of shooting?
Of course, I after the shootings, I am too curious about what happened and what happened in camera and, compared to my feelings of what happened. So every time I went back, of course, I was informed by what I have shot, but also it was always also a stand of mine that I should keep a strict memoir for myself of my feelings and my relationship to what happened during the shootings, so I can use that as a kind of map in the moment of editing,
And did that work out? That help? Did that work out? Did that help you?
Sure. But of course, this film is not the realization of my memoirs, of what happened. Of course, editing work is much complicated, much more complicated. But of course, this relationship and mine with Ivana is of course is the very material that helps us construct this dramaturgy, of course. Yes, and also then for finishing the post-production, I had to edit a lot to get some funding for the sound, and so it's always like this. Even if I would like to just shoot, then forget about everything and enter to the cinema, which doesn't happen. To enter to the editing room, which doesn't happen. Even if I will want to, I am obliged not to, because I have to get some funding and show some material to people, and and of course, yeah.
What was your relationship towards the kids, towards the children? I'm sure it evolved also during the shooting, during this long period of time.
Yeah, the thing is that I was always a person which is with a camera, and that involves that, for example, when the children were used to go fishing or something, I cannot help them taking some stuff, which I can't, because even if the camera has no battery to shoot, I am the person with the camera. I'm the person that is holding it and looking, and that's my function in the space and in the life. I cannot allow me to try to integrate in another way. It wouldn't be reasonable for them as well, because I cannot do anything more or less than is needed. So of course our friendship with the kids also was dictated by that, and I think that they enjoyed it a lot, having some company of someone that is just looking, that puts attention to them in a very different way than they are used to, and the those kids are incredible, very creative, and I had a lot of fun with them. What else can I say?
There's an amazing scene, I think, when there are like the disco lights outside, and it's a night scene, and there are disco lights outside that fall onto the snow, and one of the kids in his parka is like trying to catch the light, and it's magical. I think it's like the setting is perfect, the light is perfect, and what the child is doing is amazing. So. I was like, oh my God, these are like the gems of documentary filmmaking.
Thank you, I'm happy.
Renato, what are your hopes and dreams for this film? We're in a worldwide pandemic at the moment. It's really difficult to show films, but what are your dreams? What are your hopes for this film?
I really want this film to be seen by a lot of people, and of course, my hope is this film to create in people some that this sensorial experience, which is made 80 minutes, 79, does something inside the peoples, and maybe even raise some discussions and strong feelings. That's what I want. And more practically, I'm not so sad that now the film is going to be shown this first couple of months. I hope only in virtually, because this also means much more audiences than. But this is also a film that is shot thinking on the big screen, you know. And we worked a lot in the sound and very little details that of course I will like to have happen in a cinema, but also is also part of our life. And cinema is not more important than health of people, and I'm happy that people will see this film in their house also, because there is a character in this film also important, which is the house. And it's a film also about home, and I think it's other than a non-place, which is a cinema. This film will be seen in people's houses, or you know. So yeah, I'm looking forward for seeing how the audiences and find this film, and for this film to find its audiences. I'm very curious. I wasn't, when I was shooting this film, I wasn't really thinking about where it's going to be shown. I had an idea of the film I want to see and to share with the people and that I know, and what I want people to see, and in the country where I live, and so I'm very curious about how it's going to be. Very curious.
Anyway, I wish you a lot of luck with this film. It is, I think it is really fantastic. It's something very special. Unfortunately, our time is up here. For our audience, if you enjoyed the film as much as I did, you can vote for it for the Kino Audience Award, sponsored by BR and Dreisat. Just go to our homepage, to the films page, and vote there. And you have the chance to watch Life of Ivana until the 23rd of May. Renato, thank you very much for speaking with us and answering my questions.